And we are back for our weekly uh, back and forth discussion. I'm Lance Ash, and beside me on the sofa is my wife Bonnie Ash. And what's the name of the show, Bonnie?
Nothing but worry.
And how apt that title is this weekend, this day. Um,
We need to go ahead and get last Sunday's news out of the way.
yes. All right. So,
It happened.
yeah, my mother died. I think we already mentioned it.
No. It was just this past Sunday.
Okay, well, anyway, as you know, my sister got married to this guy out in Montana, and when she moved out there, she took my mother with her. My mother, she
Rapidly declined.
rapidly declined. She was already showing signs of dementia
For 10 years.
before she left, and but it really got bad. It got to the point where the last 3 or 4 or 5 times I called her, either she just couldn't converse properly on the phone, and so
And then she forgot how to answer the phone.
yeah. So Friday, I think I usually tried to call on Fridays, and
This time it was on Saturday.
yeah. So called, and my sister answered, and she was beside herself. She said she had just died. So
Not quite. There was a 24-hour period where it all went to hell.
well, I think she's told me she had just left, and then she received a call from the people and said
That was on Sunday. Saturday you called and you heard hello, and you're like, hey! And you were happy at first, and then Catherine told you they'd called her in.
Right.
So she was headed back home and taking Grace back to the airport so she could return to New York. And then she went in Saturday night and stayed with Jane again. And once again, she had to go and leave and just grab a bite to eat. And at that point,
That's right.
they
My
got the
sister
call.
said she had spent all night. Oh, that's right.
It was Friday,
That's
Saturday,
right.
and Sunday.
I called, and my sister answered and said, "Can you hear her breathing in the background? It's not going to be long now. I've been here all night long watching her. I got to go home and get a shower and get a nap or something." And then late. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, my feelings are really relief more than anything else, because it's not hanging over my head anymore, and it's not a sense of worry anymore.
There's a certain level of cruelty to it when you have someone who has dementia. They just lose their mind, and I helped take care of her on and off. And she just disappeared into herself. At other times, there was one point where I was so mad at your father because your mother was leaning over the edge of the couch with her head in her hands going, I don't understand, I don't understand, I don't know, I don't. And it was pathetic. It was absolutely pitiful watching her in that state of absolute confusion, the inability to grasp bits and pieces of memories over decades. It was horrible. And so, yeah, it is an absolute relief.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I'm not really broken up about it, and when
Well, your father sure as hell wasn't.
well, like me, he's more upset for my sister than he is for.
Well, I thought he was extremely cold and short with you when you called him and told him, well, son, I'm sorry that happened. I gotta go. I'm at the lake. It was just...
Yeah. Well, he's out there in Montana now, visiting my sister, and anyway, it probably will hit me at some point. I don't. It just. But she had disappeared so long ago, and um, I was telling somebody recently. I was more. I tell you, the last time I was really, really upset like that for somebody else, a couple years ago, when our son was first showing
Oh
signs of
God.
being sick, we didn't know what was wrong with him. And one night, I was home here painting, and he came knocking on my door, and he was in so much pain, and I went and I broke down with Bonnie. I just was uncontrollable because I'm more grieving for somebody that's alive and in pain than I
Yeah.
am for somebody who's dead. They're beyond, you know, pain anymore or suffering. So I don't know. I really don't know how. I'm, I feel the way I feel. There's none of this the way you're supposed to feel. There's no supposed to feel. You feel the way you feel.
Yeah. When my sister died, I wasn't as upset about her death as I was about the fact that it was killing my father. Because we had been through everything with Peter being sick. And I knew what that kind of worry was when you're waiting to find out if your child's going to die. And it's horrific to watch them suffer. And my sister lasted for basically 6 months. And it was horrible and it was cruel. And my grief was with my father. I felt for him more than I felt any loss that I had, or for her family's loss, or my mother's loss. Because her family and my mother were all party to my sister's death. My father was so... It was horrible.
Yeah. When my mother's the first of my grandparents to die was my mother's father, and um, I was, I think I just turned 18, and I I felt bad for him because of just,
Crappy life?
well, he had a crappy life, but also my mother just
Hated him.
she didn't hate him, but she just, she felt obligated because he was her father. But and I've told, I really think that, I mean, whatever. I think she treated him badly because she was paying him back for being such a bad father to her. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel sorry for everybody more than anything else. Um,
When I guess the first memorable family death was my great grandmother, Mame's mother, and she had been gone for the longest time. She sat in a chair. She responded as if she were a toddler. I had to help bathe her. But the thing that I remember was the fact that my grandmother got upset because my great grandmother was 94 when she died. And they called the ambulance to say she was having a heart attack. I remember the pills we had to put under her tongue sometimes. And so they took her to the hospital, and my grandmother went along to watch. And she coded in the room, and some young doctor, some act of bravado, got on top of the bed and started doing chest compressions so hard that my grandmother was in tears watching him. She was convinced that he had killed her mother doing chest compressions because it was such a violent sort of act. He didn't just let her go. She was 94. She'd had dementia for 15 years or more. And it was traumatizing for her daughter to go through this.
yeah.
And then my father's mother went down the rabbit hole and refused the flu vaccine. They sent her to the hospital from the home she was living in. She was doing really well. I mean, she wasn't... She didn't have dementia. She was able to get around. She went for meals. She had her own little mini apartment. And she got the flu, and they sent her to the hospital, and she had a DNR. But there was a miscommunication between the home and the hospital. So they took extraordinary measures to keep her alive. And so my aunt had to make a decision to take her mother off the machine.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking cruel. It should have been dealt with.
So anyway, I don't know what how this is going to play out. So we'll just have to see what happens.
What, with your sister and you and...
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know how my sister's going to
do the rituals and rites.
Well, yeah, supposedly they're going to have her cremated, and then Catherine's going to come back and put the urn. I think she said she's going to put it at
the Homer cemetery with the family plot.
Right. And I don't know if she wants to have a ceremony or something.
I mean, know.
If she wants to have like a special ceremony where they put the urn, I'll go.
Yeah, that's what I told the kids, that there's nothing now. Rita asked specifically if you guys had taken any time off work. And I said, no, we're just going to save that for when the memorial is, you know.
Well, this woman I work with asked me, well, you know, she said, I'm sorry about your mother. She goes, why are you here? I said, well, that's all out in Montana. I can't take time off to go to Montana for nothing.
Yeah, because they're just going to do some kind of plaque here. A lot of people think that their rituals translate over. Like, my dad had some friends who died. These two gentlemen died several years apart. And each of them had a memorial like 6 months later. So that the immediate family could do their grieving. The cremations were done. And then, after everything was settled, several months down the road, then a very private memorial ceremony was handled. You remember Angie? We went to school with her. Her parents died within a month of each other, and both of those were private funerals. And people didn't understand that because her dad was a sports writer here locally.
Yeah. And
their opinion was, this is private, it is for family. It is not some giant event. Years ago, the father of a friend of mine was murdered. He owned a liquor store. Somebody came in and robbed him and killed him. And I went because John and I had been at school together forever and a day. And so I went and I was shocked. I had to park out on a highway and walk in and pay my condolences. And the line was massive because everybody had known Mr. Schwartz. And the entire community came out. But he was a community figure that the family felt that with this act of violence that it should be public. Whereas for the Angie's parents, they were in their 80s, you know, and it was private.
Well, you know, I'm not very close to either of my parents, and I don't know. I can't dredge up emotions out of a sense of duty.
Obligation.
Just, you know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I don't think I've ever told you this story. This would have been probably second grade, maybe first or second. But anyway, we lived in that house across town, the one-story house, and we had learned the song at school, "My Country 'Tis of Thee," and I remember there's a line in the song, "Land Where Our Fathers Died," and we're having dinner that night, and I started crying, thinking about that line. And parents asked me, "What's wrong?" We learned this song, and it's got a line in it. My father's died, and they were like, "Oh, it's okay." And I remember in my head feeling guilty because what upset me about the line was not the father part, but my mother. Because at that age, the thought of my mother dying was just horrible to me, and I felt inside like, oh, you can't let them know that you care more about your mother than you do your father, you know. It's strange how even as a little kid you have these thoughts. Well, you know how they're going to react if I do this, and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, so that happened. I guess the other big thing is this whole Charlie Kirk flap, and I really, to be honest, if you want to know how I feel about the whole thing, watch the Steve Shives video on it, because he said basically the same thing I feel. You know, no, the guy shouldn't have been killed, but at the same time, this whole washing over what he stood for and what he said is ludicrous.
Yeah.
He wasn't just another political pundit. He advocated for hateful, wrong things. And I'm not going to, you know.
I'm not going to whitewash over it either. And it's funny. Whitewash is a phrase that could also be used to describe what he wanted to do with American history. He wanted to remove the parts that they didn't like. The most notable thing right now that's going on is the Smithsonian being forced to remove references to slavery. And they didn't want to talk about the bad things. You and I started off this episode talking about death and our feelings towards it, and how a lot of that wasn't necessarily our feelings, but our feeling on behalf of others, empathy. Charlie Kirk notably dismissed empathy. He considered it a weakness. He considered it some sort of new age concept, etc. And that in and of itself is abhorrent. It tells me that he lacked the ability to feel what other people feel and to feel compassion and sympathy and empathy. I read the Ezra Klein article in the New York Times where he said Charlie Kirk was blah blah blah, and he just said, oh, he wanted to have a conversation. He whitewashed over Charlie Kirk's legacy. Kirk's legacy was one that ended up targeting groups of people, minorities, women, and also educators. We read this piece by a woman who came under fire because she ended up on Turning Point USA's professor's watch list. And what happened to her was horrific. She had these keyboard warriors calling the university where she worked, and calling her office and her home, and calling her the worst slurs as a black woman that you could imagine. The C word, the N word, and so much more. They were trying to get her fired. The campus security had to come and escort her everywhere. And she wasn't the only person. There were trans people who were targeted by Charlie Kirk's supporters and beaten on the streets because of the rhetoric that came from him. This was not a good person.
The main thing that I'm concerned with this whole thing is going to be the aftermath, because they're going to use this as a pretext for
more crackdowns.
Who knows what sort of horrible villainies and retribution. Oh, they killed one. That's they send one of yours to the hospital. You send one of theirs to the morgue.
That kind of attitude. Yeah.
So
what was that from?
The Untouchables.
The Untouchables.
Sean Connery.
Yeah. They've got that sort of base that they have been riling up, that Kirk himself was riling up and getting angry. Sorry.
They're determined to. I mean, and the people who support all this don't even know.
Yeah, we had somebody send us a picture from an acquaintance of ours from growing up, and she was like, "This just emphasizes that we need to have open dialogue on
Well,
both sides and all
no,
of
that's
this."
not what she said. She said Charlie Kirk represented our
Yeah.
faith and our Christian principles. Excuse me, but exactly what Christian principles are you talking about? You know, stomping the black people under your feet and putting them in their place, telling gay people they're incorrect people and need to be corrected by Christian brainwashing techniques.
That women should stay home and not have the vote.
Yeah, or we shouldn't feel feelings for other people. Try to understand what other people are going through. Is that what are these Christian principles you're talking about exactly?
Another thing that bothers me is that he promoted white nationalism, Christian nationalism. And we are not a Christian nation. They like to think and say that we are, but we have freedom of religion in our Constitution. It's one of the key fundamental things about the United States and its founding. And I am insulted when somebody tells me that I need Jesus. That somehow or another my moral choices, my moral belief system is wrong. And they're threatening that I'm going to go to hell.
Well, you know, I'm of an age where I was a kid when the bicentennial was going on.
Yeah, I remember it too.
And it was like 2 years of
build up
and all this
hoo-ha,
patriotism stuff and re-emphasizing what America was about.
the founding
And
principles.
one of the things that was prevalent at the time was America is the great melting pot.
Mm-hmm.
This is where people from all over the world who speak different languages and have different religions and have different skin shades and different cultures, and they come together and they make this unique blend. But now, 50 years later, no. That's not what America's about. We need to purge ourselves of the impurities in our blood. We need to make this, again, an entirely white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Christian nation again and cleanse ourselves. You know, this is not the way I was raised. This is not the United States that I was taught it was about.
That's
and
right.
I'll tell you another thing. Norman Rockwell, who is supposed to be the epitome of the American painter and all this kind of stuff, back when World War II was going, back when it was winding up essentially, he painted a series of paintings that represented what America was about. And I remember there's a painting in there that shows all of these different kinds of people, clearly from different backgrounds, all facing the same way. And it's like, together we're going to move forward. That would be rejected today.
Do you remember one of the celebrations in 1976 was New York Harbor was basically lit up.
That's right.
The Statue of Liberty was on display. I think they brought in, what was it, the USS Constitution.
That's right.
Had been refurbished, and it was strung out with lights, and we had massive fireworks displays and music, a lot of pomp and circumstance. And what do they have planned for next year? They're going to have a WrestleMania on the front lawn of the United States White House? What the fuck kind of trash is that?
The lowest form of trash culture. That will be how we represent what we're about as a nation. And I'll tell you
Idiocracy.
Speaking of the USS Constitution, in 10th grade, we took a school trip to New York and Philadelphia. The USS Constitution is moored somewhere in Philadelphia on the river. So they take us down to stand and look at it, right? Okay, so we're all sort of standing there looking at it, and this guy comes up to me like this crazy man, older guy, long white beard, and he comes up and he starts ranting. Here, take this, brother, take this and read this and know the truth. Blah, blah. And it's a little pamphlet about how the Catholic Church is the whore of Babylon, and it is the tool of Satan and all that kind of shit. All right, so he stumbles off, and I got the piece of paper in my hand. The guy who owned the school,
the right-wing religious nut school,
right? He comes up to me. He goes, "What did that guy give you?" And I showed him, and when he realized what it was, he goes, "Well, at least he's on our side."
Well, he did come out of Bob Jones University.
Yeah.
An anti-Catholic bastion.
And an anti-black
yes.
School too.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They lost their tax-exempt status because they did not allow black people and white people to date. And the Supreme Court at the time decided that the importance of civil rights and in society outweighed the religious freedom of one school. Therefore, they could have their tax-exempt status taken away from them.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but when the decision came down, the school we went to, which was called Athens Christian School, here in Athens, Georgia, they flew the American flag at half-staff to show the mourning that they felt that this holy institution has been unjustly vilified and punished by this godless administration.
You know, they're now flying the American flag at half-staff.
For Charlie Kirk. Who was not an elected official. He was not
he was not a member of the administration.
He was not a time-honored American figure that stood for all of us.
A divisive person.
Like I can see when, maybe I was trying to think of somebody like Bob Hope or Louis Armstrong or something. I can see when they die, we have a national day of remembrance or whatever. But Charlie Kirk, who represented maybe 20% of, hardcore followers of the electorate, maybe thought, well, I have an approval, I have a approving opinion of him, But who gives a rat's ass? To fly the flag at half-staff and, we're going to have a state funeral. He's going to lie in a gold coffin under the rotunda. We're going to make people file past and show their obeisance to him,
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Just like it doesn't make any sense what's going on the left. They're lining up to whitewash over this person's life. And what gets me is all of Charlie Kirk's statements are out there for anybody to see and to fact check and to see just what he was like.
I'm getting sick of hearing the phrase, political violence has no place in America. No, all violence has no place in America.
That's right. Another thing I noted was Charlie Kirk, this was another school shooting. There were 2 school shootings that day. One over in Colorado, which I have heard crickets about from the administration, and this school shooting in Utah where Charlie Kirk was killed. Because it was a school shooting. It happened on a school campus, a school-approved event with students all around in the student quad. This was a school shooting. And they're not even addressing it as a school shooting.
No, it's an assassination.
Another thing that bothered me was every time there is a school shooting, the Republicans are first to say, don't you dare politicize this. Well, guess what? This was a school shooting, and they've politicized this. They've politicized the hell out of this.
They've immediately blamed the left.
Yeah, and this idiot, Nancy Mace, from the Carolinas, some representative from the Carolinas, who is this hateful bitch. She was called on the carpet by a reporter when she said, "This violence I lay at the feet of the left. It is down to the left." And then a reporter says, so does that mean the Republicans take responsibility when we had the shootings in Minnesota just the other month of two couples who were gunned down in their homes by a Republican who targeted them because they were Democrats? Does it? She goes, no, no, you're not talking about that now. No, no, no. And it's like, do you expect us to forget everything that has happened? I mean, Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, his house was firebombed by a Trump supporter. The governor's mansion this year was firebombed. And it came on one of the Jewish holy days.
Yeah. Well,
And then the Charlottesville, since we're talking about Jewish attacks, Charlottesville under Trump, the first administration. Oh, there's good people on both sides, said Trump. No, there were people killed. There were people beaten there. And they were saying the Jews will not replace us. This is the same great replacement theory that Charlie Kirk promoted on his internet show.
and the average person who is roughly in the Republican voting camp, they're for all that because they have this bizarre understanding of what kind of country they want. It's like, well, when I was a kid, a man was a man, and they don't even know that they're being used by the millionaires and billionaires who are using their own traditional bent of mind and religious superstition to keep them in line,
One of the reasons I like Trey Crowder, the comedian, and his little 5 and 10 minute commentaries online is that he calls out his fellow rednecks for hypocrisy. For example, when Black Lives Matter became a movement, he said, I don't understand what it is about other rednecks that are over there going, yeah, the police should go and get him, get him. He said, I remember being one of those redneck kids. He said, he talked about how they were anti-police, how the police were the enemies, etc. And suddenly, it's like, oh, they're all pro-cops. It didn't make any sense. We've got these billionaire millionaires coming down and literally talking down to the Trump supporters at the rallies. I mean, Trump referred to his people as uneducated and idiotic and such at the rallies. And they just sit there and lap up the abuse. It doesn't make any sense why they would let some Yankee billionaire come down and tell them about the price of eggs and how bad things are.
I'm telling you, they're going to use
This Kirk thing.
They're going to use it, and they're going to use some other events that they're going to cook up over the next couple of months as a pretext for canceling the elections. There's too much violence in the country. We're under attack from secret forces from within. It's a state of emergency. Things are too perilous for us to have elections at the moment. That's exactly what they're going to do.
If it was such a violent political act as they claim, why didn't they send the National Guard in?
When
Charlie Kirk got hit, they were going on about how it was a political violence. This is so violent, blah, blah, blah. Well, they've been going on about sending the National Guard in wherever there's violence. Hey, why didn't you do it? Because it's Utah. And who's the person who did it? A kid who was brought up in the heart of Republican Utah in a Republican family. And apparently, his motivations are so skewed, it has to do with gamer ideology.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that.
Another thing is the right is divided into little subsects, and apparently Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes were at each other's throats, sparring, verbal sparring, etc. And Fuentes' group is now claiming that this shooter was one of their own.
Well, that's another thing. Let's just say that these people get their way, and we have marginalized the left and the Democrats and the progressives into a little box, and they no longer have political power, and now we run everything. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to start fighting each other. Who is the top dog? Who is more pure? Who is the most Republican? Who is the most Christian? Oh, I've shown my piety,
I think it's interesting. It's been 6 months since Trump was brought in back in January. It's been more than 6 months now. And there are Republicans who are going online and who are writing editorials and who are creating videos and going to the few congressional meetings that are town halls that are held. And they are complaining. They are complaining because they can't sell their rice because USAID used to buy their rice because they had rice out in, where was it, Arkansas? Yeah. And then other farmers, soybean farmers can't sell to China because of the tariffs. China stopped because they're like, we don't like this tariff nonsense. We've got reserves. We grow our own also. We were just buying it for feedstock. So suddenly they don't have a market for that. And yet they've demonized soy and said, oh, you soy boys on the left. So they can't sell it here.
Well,
and then there's the honey farmers out there who are selling to schools and to food banks. And they've cut all the funding thanks to Doge.
But these farmers and rural people overwhelmingly voted for this because they felt, well, he represents the kind of traditional mindset and lifestyle that we were raised to embrace.
The anti-urban ideas too.
Big cities, that's where you find sin and wickedness.
Oh, and the people with different color skin.
They are. We have this. There's a little town called Pendergrass, a good ways away from here, maybe an hour, 45 minutes away from here, and they have this giant flea market thing with all these vendors and stuff in there.
Yeah, it's great.
And I used to work with this guy who was from New York, of all places. And he said he was afraid to go there because there were so many Mexicans. He felt like he might get stabbed. I feel like I might get stabbed if I go to some event where there's a bunch of hillbillies and rednecks, Why aren't you wearing an American flag?
Here, down the road. Yeah. And then Walmart on a Saturday night or a Friday night. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's just racism a lot of the time.
It's just, I don't know.
That's another thing. Charlie Kirk also spoke about affirmative action and called out famous black female Americans and disparaged them.
Well, I didn't know this, but
go ahead.
Apparently, he wanted to go to West Point, and they turned down his application or something, and so he, with no evidence and no proof, claimed, well, I didn't get in because they chose somebody who was a minority,
affirmative action type.
That no proof, just, No. My dreams didn't come true, so therefore everybody else must be punished.
He also promoted the election bullshit that Trump was spewing, and he also was one of the big supporters of January 6th.
Yeah. All right, let's. I had an idea for a new ongoing segment of the show where I would talk about music. I was going to call it Lance's Music Minute. And I had something in mind, but now I can't think what the hell it was.
Is it the Pointer Sisters cassette laying here?
No. For some reason, we have a Pointer Sisters cassette, which I'm going to donate in the morning. And I got some other errands to run tomorrow. I have a photography project in mind, but I need to get it set up.
Megan's going to be over at 7 in the morning. They're going to the aquarium in Atlanta tomorrow.
Okay, I need you to tell Peter to be very careful.
He's not driving tomorrow. She is.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about violence and being targeted and running into crazy people, because there's no tell. This is going to just I don't know what's going to happen, but he needs to be careful. And
He is going to be between two campuses, Georgia Tech and GSU. And
well,
so who knows if they're going to have any activities this weekend. But their goal is basically to go find parking for the aquarium. They've already got their tickets for that, for parking and for the aquarium, and just spend time there. That's it.
okay.
They don't plan to go to any
What-
events.
What aquarium was it? Was it the one in Atlanta or was it one in Chattanooga that had the butterfly thing? Up on the roof, they had this caged-in room, giant room full of butterflies.
I want to say Chattanooga,
Yeah.
but the only thing I really remember is they had one over at Pine Mountain, Callaway Gardens.
No, I've never
But
been there.
I have.
But anyway, about the music thing, occasionally you will have a song that's your theme song for a little while, and currently my so-called theme song is I cannot think of the name of it. Hold on.
Oh, news.
Okay, hold on. Let me get it. I got it over here in this bag. I feel lightheaded tonight. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't feel very good. God damn it. What the hell did I do with it? Okay. Okay. The name of the song is Never Before by The Church. You know the song, Bonnie?
No, I don't.
I want to play it for you, but it's got to be where we can have some decent sonic resonance. That's what I was hoping we could listen to it in the car sometime. But anyway, most of the songs by The Church are sung by Steve Kilbey, but this is one of the ones that's sung by Marty Wilson Piper, and it's just beautiful, haunting, and dramatic. Everything you want in a song, and so anyway, that's my current theme song.
I have an earworm that's been driving me nuts.
What is that?
Peter did it to me the other week. He made me listen to the theme song from a 1980s television show, The Greatest American Hero.
Oh, I know the song.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I swear to God, this has been bugging me for weeks now.
Let me tell you a little story about that song. When that show was on the air, I did not listen to rock and roll, and I did not listen to the radio, and I did not listen to pop. But I liked that song. And I remember thinking to myself, it's very incongruous that you like this, because this is rock, this is pop, you know. But, yeah, that was a good show the first season or two, but that last season, they just screwed it up so
Was
bad.
Robert Culp in that?
Robert Culp was his FBI contact. William
Lord.
Catt played the dude.
School teacher, wasn't it?
Yeah, and when the show first came out, his name was Mr. Hinckley, but when the dude shot Reagan, they had to change his last name.
Mr. H.
Yeah, and I think a
God.
different woman played his wife in the first season.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a good show, but then they, like I said, they just ruined it.
It was an 80s show. It's hard to call anything from the 80s good.
Well,
Outside of a few Oscar award-winning movies. There were
we're
no...
talking about television shows. Movies are different.
Yeah, but
TV
shows, bleh, from the 80s?
Well, there was a couple of good ones. I'm trying to think of one. Simon and Simon was good when it first started.
I saw Gerald McRaney when I rewatched Jericho, the post-apocalyptic series from early 2000s. And Skeet Ulrich was in that, too.
Really?
Yep. What you writing down?
Something I was supposed to write down earlier. I gotta remember to do.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, Lord.
from what I could gather of you watching that show, is not for me.
Oh, Jericho?
Yeah, Gerald McRaney is such a right-wing, pro-military goof. I used to really like him. And that's basically the character he played on Simon and Simon. He's a Vietnam vet, and it's funny. He had a career. He went on and kept doing stuff. But Parker Stevenson, the guy who played his brother on the show, has done nothing. Disappeared into the ether.
Well, on Jericho, it basically was down to a cabal of people who bombed the U.S. internally. It's 3 different coalitions that are. The whole end result was the military contractors wanted to basically make money off of everything. It's pretty pathetic. Just
I don't know. I'm looking forward to the new season of Slow Horses, but I'm not holding up much hope because that last season was kind of silly.
anything that emphasizes Roddy Ho.
Well, the thing is, all
Yeah.
shows eventually get stupid. X-Files got stupid,
Yeah.
and you got to have a definite. I think you have to have a definite ending date. The show's going to last 7 seasons or what, and that's it.
Don't
And we've
allow.
planned for it.
Okay, Firefly. Firefly. It ended 13 episodes in a movie. And it never had a chance to jump the shark.
I think Farscape also. They ended the show prematurely, and so in order
What was
to
it, 2 seasons or 3?
I don't know, but they ended it without them. You know, the whole cast was like caught off guard because they pulled the plug on it. So in order to wrap things up, they did like a little TV movie thing. What's it called? The Peacekeeper Wars or something? I can't remember.
I can't remember. But I remember Ben Browder's character. He was the main character. He is a human astronaut that got flung off into far space. And he ends up having this nemesis that gets in his head. And that was kind of funny. The bad guy that was Claudia, what's her name's boss, he gets into Ben Browder's head.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
What I remember about the show is the whole crew wind up on Earth at one
Yes.
point, and they're in a hotel room, and Claudia Black is watching Sesame Street, and this little girl is doing the alphabet, and Claudia Black already knows the alphabet, the American English alphabet, and she goes, "God, this girl's slow."
Yes, her character had been brought up in a large nursery where everybody was
Yeah.
militarized.
God, you remember it more than I do.
I do. Everyone was militarized from early on. They find your strengths and they put you into a certain unit. And she ended up in the military unit. Some people have become engineers. Other people become cooks and, janitors. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I can't remember the bad guy's name.
Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Scorpius.
Scorpius? Okay. There was some back and forth give and take between him and the Crowder's character.
Browder.
Browder's character.
Ben Browder.
Ben Browder's character. And he starts haunting his memories. And at one point, they're having a conversation in his mind. And he's back home on Earth watching a movie at the drive-in or something, and they're sitting on the car, and it reminded me of being at the drive-in when I was a kid. Sitting on top of the car.
For such a homely woman, Claudia Black was sexy. Because she really was kind of homely. She was awkward looking, but she was still sexy, that long black hair.
She was extremely sexy.
Do you remember she and Ben Browder's character always wanting to get together, but they never quite do. And then somehow there's another version of him, and she gets together with the alternate Ben Browder, and when the real one comes back, she's just like, oh God, I can't, because we had a relationship, but you're not the same one,
Yeah, and they're identical.
Yeah. Remember the puppet? God.
Oh, the horny.
He was the
Rigel?
Rigel. He was an emperor that had been deposed, and so
He was always horny for something. And remember, at one point, they bring his consort on board, and she is just a weird little puppet like him. There's like puppet sex.
that was such a good show.
Oh,
God. And doesn't Dargo's son come on board at one point?
I think so. Doesn't he? Does he end up having a relationship with the blue girl? Not the blue girl. The white hair girl.
What was her name?
Chiana?
Oh God, you remember so much more than I do about it.
I don't know. We do have to watch that series again, though.
I know.
And then there was the blue woman who was bald-headed.
Oh God, I forgot about her too. She's like a psychic or something, or
She's some
a
kind of
healer.
weird something or another. And she can feel whenever the ship is organic.
Well, not only that, but Claudia Black's character is very in touch with Maya, who is a living ship. And
The pilot is
Pilot's a good character
Pilot,
too.
yeah.
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 Okay, I gotta check the time because I'm
That
dying
was
to go to the
bizarre.
bathroom here. I can't read that.
Ouch.
Sorry. Okay, 50 minutes. We've basically done a full show. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we've run our mouths enough.
Yeah, okay. I can't think of anything else at the moment. Oh, I don't feel very well tonight. All right, so I think that's about it. So bye-bye.
Bye.